So here we are once again. Welcome to the Rude Boys Sound Off. I am DJ Paul. If you don't know who I am, now you know. I am the Rude Boy, DJ Paul, on the Spurs Sound Off. And each morning or each day, I try to add some content to the Spurs uh, community. And so just reading and listening to other broadcasts and to other social media account and handles. One of the things that crossed my mind that I kind of have a heated conversation with someone this morning because I don't believe that everything that's been done is done with an ulterior motive. And this brings me to Jagosin. If you can recall last year when all the injuries and the suspension started to mount, around about November, December, we were caught pretty much with our pants down. We have Royal and Ben Davis at one point playing as our two center backs. And in fairness, Royal is not even a good fullback, and Davis is just pretty much helping himself. But they did what they had to do to hold the team together. I think we lost her away right after Romero gets sent off against Chelsea. And it was a downward spiral and the suspension of Bissouma and it just went on and on and on until maybe I wouldn't say it stabilized. I wouldn't say I think we had a rough time. If you really look at it and look at the we had what something like 30 points at that time of the contest and we didn't garner much from the other 23 games that we played. So we had a horrible time. We finished fifth, which in itself, based on the year before, was a pretty much great achievement that we actually improved as a club, the position of the club. And here we are in Europe. So there was some measure of success. And for the manager, I think he had something to build on. That's a conversation to be had whether or not the club did take advantage of building on being fifth in the league. We obviously got bounced in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup real early, and so we didn't have much to play on. We didn't have much to keep keep our heads up high about. We were pretty much out of the cups way too early. And so we did not have that run. But all in all, finishing up the season in fifth. As a matter of fact, I, at the beginning of the season, said a deep cup run and our cup runs, because we had two other competitions. Obviously, we're out of Europe, finishing eighth. And making it to about the fifth or sixth would have been a mark of improvement because what that will mean is that we take a step forward, would have been playing in Europe. We'll play in the Europa League, finishing there. At one point, obviously, the growth of Aston Villa, who is doing really well this year, contributed to that. So the teams that finished behind us were primarily finishing in the top four didn't, like Chelsea and Man United. Those were the two that we have to contend with each year when we were finishing in the top six, top four, run about there. Aston Villa came in, and now Aston Villa actually superseded Spurs, United, and Chelsea in that regard. So finishing fifth was okay, but did we improve? I don't think we improved enough to say we can challenge the top four to get into the top four. I think we're probably going to finish round about where we are right now in seventh. The highest I would probably go is actually fourth when you really look at it. I don't know if the way Arsenal is going right now, and Arsenal is just they always just complain about everything, the officiating and all of that. So every time that they lose a game, it is just 1 week worth of just bawling and crying, and the ref is against us, and everybody's against us, and the league is against us. And it gets really nauseating sometimes listening to the Arsenal fans. The referee, made no mistake, are poor, inept. I think Webb is part of the problem. And so we can take this conversation in so many different directions and ended up back here, but we still have to concentrate on the subject at hand, and that is, our defense and the team itself. How did the team progress coming out of last year? And personally, I don't think there's much improvement. And the reason why I said that, and I've said that before, you want to effectively affect your number of starters. You want to see starters leave, even if it's not the best for optics with fans, but you want to see starters leave and bringing in quality starters. One of the things that happened to us is that we have so many players that Ange inherited, and I'll give him some credit for getting rid of most of the players that he did. The player I would want not to see that went would have been Gill. I think signing Odebert is kind of like counterproductive unless he show me something different. But I don't see why we would have let Gill go and bring in Odebert. And it seemed like they were set on having him. So I'm going by what they're saying when they say that they had Solanke on the board and Odebert on the board. The problem with that is we still needed another midfielder. We still needed a number six because Benton Kerr was not the same and is still not the same. And Bissouma is kind of heady. Sometimes you get the good Bissouma, and then for another run, he just goes off on the boil. And so we needed some more in there. I don't think Brennan Johnson, as a matter of fact, as a winger, was the answer, and he's a starter. But when you combine Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski for the fact that you have Son who nails down the left hand side, Brennan Johnson could have still covered Son while he's learning on the job. But when you pay that kind of money for a guy, you want to make sure that he's a starter, or you think that he would be a starter. So it's up to Brennan Johnson to lift this game. I know he's in a rich vein of form right now, but that has nothing to do with what I am saying about him and the composition of the team. Kulusevski, we kind of know that we needed somebody else in the midfield. I personally think it's a setback for Bergval. And this is personal because I like Bergval. I like what Bergval brings. And he brings the same thing that any rookie will bring. First year player, they're going to lose the ball. There is absolutely no make no mistake about that he's going to lose the ball some, right? But if you look at how tenacious he is and look at his work ethics, you use that to judge whether or not he's going to be a good one, right? I can go back and tell you that if you want some comparison, you could look at Skip, you could look at Winks, and we don't see that kind of movements, that kind of know-how that Winks or Skip knows how to play in the engine room, based on how Bergval moves. And so while it benefits the team and it kind of anchor Brennan Johnson on the left, I feel it for the learning curve more so for Bergval. But I like Bergval. And I wanted to see a straight swap each time for Madison. And he's still going to get that. The problem now is that we're having an issue wherein fans are losing their shirts because Ange did substitute Madison, and I don't get it. I just think that it was a tactical move. It was a good move. Give the manager credit and move on. Next match, Madison starts. Let him prove to you that he's not up to task. Because why we not needed Sar was because we needed the leg, we needed the defense, we needed all of that to change what was happening with Bowen and Kudus just running amok through the middle. So the manager making the right move does not and should not impact the entire roster or in terms of the starters. You move Madison because he was a liability just for this game, and that is why when you talk about Ange and you talk about tactics, then this is where I just say that he's lost, because if by what most fans are saying, I'm not saying that, and I hope sensible fans are not saying that. If he's going to not play Madison because he made a change, fix the problem just for the West Ham game, and then he see it fit to not start Madison because now he think Madison was a liability, and he's looking to lose Madison. I'm not saying that Madison should just automatically, start because he needs to start. I'm just saying that in tandem with Kulu, who's now inside. I don't know if Kulu is at 8 or a 10 or Madison's at 8 or a 10. So we could say two tens or two eights. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that they are the two creative players. And what Kulu does for Madison is that Kulu carries the ball. And you want one of your midfielder who can actually carry the ball. And we don't have that since Dembele. And we have been looking for that since Dembele. And now you have Kulusevski who can actually carry the ball, and you need that. So for me, playing Madison alongside Kulu works. So I don't see why I would want to not do that. I would rather give him a couple more games, see what happened. You're still going to make that switch where when you have Sar, pretty much you know now that he can go out there and he can give you that defense to allow Kulusevski now to lead the midfield, with the creativity. If you have to take off Madison again, like I said, all of this that's happened is going to affect Bergval, but it's fine. He's young. He can learn. There are games that he's going to have to be in. He's going to play in the European League, so he will toughen up there and he will get a chance to understand the speed of the game based on where he's coming from, right? And so starting Madison or not starting Madison should never be a debate. It is just a tactical move that worked out, and that's the way it should be. And so what I'm trying to say is that I don't want to jump overboard, because when I looked at it and I said, okay, let's look at Brighton game, and we look at Brighton and we said, what happened at Brighton? The manager did nothing, and we lost the game, right? He said that he couldn't have done anything to rectify that game, and I kind of called BS on that. And if I got the same thing from him against West Ham, then I would have hold on to my belief that this guy is not the right guy for the job. Love this offense. Love the way the offense move when it's moving and when it's playing fast and doing all of that. I would say that any day. But there comes a time when you have to integrate the defender. What happened is that we have pretty much, if I was going by a scale, say of 1 to 10 on our fullbacks, I would probably give our fullback somewhere around 7. Couple that with two solid center backs in Romero and Van de Ven, you can actually pull that together and then you'll have a really good back line. But what's happening is that the offense is taking over from what we need to do defensively, and therefore by pushing those two fullbacks up so often and up in the attack, is that we're sacrificing the quality of having Kulu, not Kulu, but Ramiro and Van de Ven as two solid center backs. So the tactics is what is getting me, and I don't understand why do we have to always attack with 8, because that's what it amounts to, and then you leave your two fullbacks on an island wherein they're being pillaged every time that there's a fast break. If you're going one in tandem, then chances one not in tandem, one and holding back one. Then what you have happens is that that one fullback can now team up with your midfielder, and you pretty much have 4 defending or even 3 defending. If you hold one back, you can always push the holding mid further up, because in Ange's way, everybody is an attacker. You see the space, you fill the space. I don't believe in that. I think you see the space, you play through the space. You don't go and fill the space like your Doge does and what Para does. You leave that for the attacking players. You leave it for the balls to go in there. And so, to my point is that I love the offense of having front foot football, but within that, I don't like some of the tactics that are being deployed in there. As far as I'm concerned, it is sacrificing too much, and it's not worth it. And too often we get caught out with only Van der Ven and Ramiro at the back. And again, I know there are other creators and other pundits and people who give their opinion. You can't defend on the half line. You cannot, because because smart teams are going to send the forward in motion, and they're going to break the run at the half line. You can't be offside. So what we're doing is that we're on the half line, and we're trying to step over the half line to play the other team that's coming out of their half offsides. You got to give them 5 to 10 yards inside your own area, and that's where you set up to start playing the offside trap. Allow them to come over, because once they bend the run on either side or through the middle, they're going to be clear on goal. They are going to have no competition as a matter of whether or not they're going to score. And we see that too often. We see that too often where Van der Ven has to take off, and he's going to pop his hamstring. He's going to get hurt trying to cover for Udogi being too high. He's going to pop his hamstring because Ramiro now has to go to cover for Paro, who is too high. And so he has to go all the way across the field now to cover behind Ramiro, while we could just easily have those fullbacks sit in, and the midfielders sit in. It don't take away anything from the offense, because you can attack with 7 or 6 and you still will be good, and not expose the defense to every time for everything that comes over where we're chasing. If you look at the team, right, and if your defenders are always facing their own goal, you're in trouble. It's only going to be a matter of time. And so when you look at how the defense come back into his formation, is that most of the times, because they're so high, no one knows who's going to get picked up, because the other team is just coming out, and everyone is coming, and then you have only 2 defenders, and it's 4 against 2 most of the times, and your fullbacks are so high. Wherever the ball is, where does the defender in Ramiro, if he's the one that's not going to the ball, who does he pick up off the 2 or 3 that's coming to him? We're always being outnumbered once the ball comes over. So I don't believe that we should be going that high. And so in my opinion is that we're sacrificing too much for the offense. The offense will be fine. It will be fine without the fullbacks going up there, because number one, they're not productive enough. It hasn't proven that they're productive enough, and their contributions are what is giving us the chances on goal. And if especially Udogi, if he's not productive enough, then use him where he's good. Pull him back and let him play as a wide left midfielder, instead of going up there and jamming up the forward line. Give space for the forwards to move around. Give space for Madison to move around. Give space for the striker to come back and move. Give Son the space, because most of the times when you do get darts inside, what do you think is going to happen? Son is either going to take the ball towards him, so there's no space, or pass it to him. That pass that he's going to receive are the passes that are supposed to be either going to Madison or going to Solanke. Udogi, in good judgment, is supposed to go on the outside once Son starts heading inside, or if Madison drift out there now, he comes inside, and now he is there now to form that defensive barrier along with the holding number 6. And so what we're not doing are those little things, and we're just running in the offense, and we're exposing the defense, because we played so much emphasis and wanting everybody to in the offense. No other team, I've never seen any other team doing this, attacking consistently with 8. And once it breaks down, it's all hell break loose, trying to come back, scrambling. No one knows who they have. what I call, the sixes and nines coming back, and we're always facing our goal. That in itself is pretty much where we are most of the time. So we need to look at that. I think, oh man, how did I get over here? Um, yes, what I was saying earlier was the fact that we got creamed after the first 15 or 16 games last year. And I'm reading some comments and listening to some comments that now that we have a healthy back four, right, including substitution, there are people who are calling for Dragusin to leave the club. We wanted quality. We got quality. But that doesn't mean that is an automatic starter. He's a cover for Romero and a cover for Van de Ven, and he's going to start in the Europa League. He's going to start in the FA Cup. He's going to start in the Carabao Cup. So what more does he want? Plus, we have the festive season coming up, where the games are going to come quick and fast. So I can understand why Spurs fans are calling for him to leave because he's not getting enough. He's not getting enough games. That is why you have quality. That is why you go too deep. So my thing is, if the player doesn't want to be here, then let him go. But I don't see why fans are stirring this up to say he should go because he's not getting enough games. He didn't come as a starter. And he's playing his role. He's where he's supposed to be. He's a backup for now. If he wants to start, then yes, you can take off and go to another club and find somebody else who can fill the role. So for Spurs fans, it's a bit delusional for them to be saying that Jagusin is a waste. One guy said to me that, oh, it was all Levy. Levy's trying to make a profit on Jagusin. I'm like, what? Spurs traditionally don't sell their players and make money. So if we're waiting for that to happen, I don't see how it's going to happen. And maybe now Jagusin might worth something, but he is worth more to us than us selling him and don't have a replacement. So I don't understand the psyche. I don't understand Spurs fans when they ask for quality. You go out and you get quality, and the minute you don't play them on time when they want them to play, they want them to go. And I'm trying to figure out, what are we doing? What are we asking for? What is it that we actually want? It is brain numbing to think that Spurs fans are going to look at it and say, oh, Jagusin should pack his bags and go. Why? I'm still trying to figure it out because I just cannot figure out why that would have been the case. He's going to play. We played 8 games. 8 games. It's not time for rotation yet. There's no injury. You understand? So he's getting his fill over there in Europe. So chill out a bit and let the team settle in, right? He will get his time where he can shine. And make no mistake, we're going to have injuries. We'll be lucky if we go through the season without and suspension, because even though Ramiro hasn't lost his head in a few, I'm still worried about Van de Ven, and you still have to rest Van de Ven. And the good thing about Dragusin is that he can play on either side, so I'm not worried about him. What I'm worried about is the fans who are calling for him to leave, or saying that Levy bought him because Levy was trying to fill his pocket on a resale. Doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make no sense. Some of the things that I'm hearing from Spurs fans. You should be happy that Dragusin is here. And we want him to leave because he's not getting his game. You want him to be another peer who is asking for improvement, and because now his starting position was in jeopardy, he starts whining and was time to leave. You can't have a good team without competition. You can't have a good team without quality. And that has been our problem, where we have good 11 and we have no bench. And it's not like we have one of the best benches right now. We're still lacking players, and we lack players because we did not bring in any player of note except for Solanke and Odebert, obviously, that we brought in. We never bring in any players who can rival with the starting 11 from last year. So we're pretty much only starting who? Nobody. The entire 11 that we had is from last year. The starting 11 is from last year. So we didn't have anyone in there. I mean, except for obviously we needed to have Solanke, we needed a striker. If you haven't done anything, the one thing that was going to happen was that we're going to get a striker. But I'm still trying to fathom the fan base. Where they're calling for Dragusin to leave, and we're not even in January yet. Why should he leave? Why should he want to leave? It's not like he's not getting his national call up, and you say, well, he's been stagnated at the international level because he's not playing. Romania is going to call him. He's in the lineup, and he will get called for his international duty. So I'm still trying to figure out some of these Spurs fans. How could you? Why should we give up Dragusin and get who? Ben Davis to cover? Get out of here. I'm out of here, as a matter of fact. I'll talk to you later. And don't forget that we have a guy that we sold last year coming up in the Europa League. So we're gonna go deal with Parrot, as a matter of fact, and hopefully we'll get those 3 points. We want to rack up about 12 points or so, 12 to 15 points, that we can start going with big rotation as far as they're concerned. So hopefully we'll win this Thursday. I'll do a preview that see what my lineup will be like, and I'll post that right after this video. I'm not going to do any other video. I'm trying to do maybe 2 videos per week, tackle some of the issues that I see, and if I need to somewhere in there, maybe 3 videos per week, I think is enough to whet the appetite of Spurs fans. So again, you could always tune in each time. I don't do live videos, so if you want to, you don't have to subscribe to the channel, but I would like you to, if you are going to view the video, is to leave a comment, whether it's quality, whether it's me, whether um, you need different topic, whether you want my opinion, ask questions, whatever it is that you want me to cover, and you can be very critical of me with due respect. I will answer, and I will try to do my best to tackle whatever the subject is. If it's a matter of quality that you're not getting, if I'm going too fast, I'm Jamaican, y'all, so I talk real fast. I might need to slow down in doing that. And so whatever it is, you can be as critical as you want, but just remember, keep it clean. I don't want to hear about your family, and I hope you don't tell me about mine. It is in the interest of being a Spurs fan, contributing to the Spurs community, and that's all I'm doing. So, for another edition of the Road Boys Sound with Spurs Sound Off, I'm DJ Paul, and I am out of here. See you later.